here. All right, let's do this. Okay, let me put up here what we're going to talk about. Um, Preparing for a initial home care survey. Prepare for initial home care survey. Okay. All right. Let me see if it'll let me pin. Okay. So, hey, how are you? How are you, sunshine? Beautiful. So, as you guys know, I've been saying that I've been going through some of like my tons of like workbooks, like they look like this. My tons of workbooks where like if I'm talking to someone like on the phone during some of my initial phone calls with people, and I'm like taking down information of things that you guys need help with. And I came across some notes last night about a couple of people had asked me how to prepare for an initial survey, right? And here's the thing, only some states actually still require an initial survey. And I wanted to go over some things that you should do to make sure you are ready for that initial survey. And then I even created a checklist, and I'm trying to figure out where we would post that checklist. But so I think I'm going to do it as a blog as well. Okay. So before I get started, sorry, where are my manners? Hey, this is Sean, aka the Savvy Business Chick, the original home care mentor. And remember, this is a very, very tight-lipped industry. And I'm just here to make sure that things that you guys need help with, things that you need to understand better, breaking it down so that you can be successful in this. Now it's up to $500 billion industry. This is a $500 billion industry. It's not going anywhere. So when people say, "Oh, do you think this is still a good industry to get into?" Um, Absolutely, this is still a good industry to get into, and you would be um, disappointed if you didn't take action. I'm not saying you got to take action now. Some people, you're trying to get your money right, right? Some people, you need to get your mindset right. The road for me, really embracing myself as a CEO, it took me, I would say, a full 3 years, right? Did a lot of mindset work, just understanding that I'm a business owner, right? Because if you are a high performer, like I was a high performer, like when I worked um, in corporate America, you go from that, or you go from working in bedside care to owning your own business. And you have to make sure that you are constantly working on your business, not in your business. Okay, so that was my little um, advice for you today. Before we get started, please let me know where you're watching me from. I always ask, I would like to know where you're watching me from. I have mentees as far as California, Washington State, and Oregon. Then it starts to be Arizona, Kansas, Illinois, Michigan, Kentucky, North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado. Trying to picture the map. And then I am physically here in Indiana. I'm physically here in the DMV, which stands for DC, Northern Virginia, and Maryland, where it says Virginia. That's where I started my first home care business. I go as far up as Maine and as far down as Florida. As far we have assisted with licensing, both skilled and unskilled agencies in over 30 states. So that means that all of our policies and procedures are state specific. We stand by that they're state specific so that you can assure that you're going to be in compliance with your state regulations, because there are some policies and procedures out here. They have a lot of templates. You're from DC but live in North Carolina, okay? And my mom just went back to North Carolina today. That's where she's from. I was born in DC. My dad was a DC native, but that's where she's from, so that's where she's at. So this is going to be kind of quick, but informative. The pre-licensing survey phase. And one specific state that stands out that I'm constantly helping my mentees with is Virginia. Virginia has one. Illinois still does pre-licensing surveys. And I want to get you prepared for what it looks like and what you need to do to have a successful pass on the first time pre-licensing survey. So I already asked you first where you're located. Secondly, I forgot to ask you what phase are you in? Are you a aspiring home care license business owner or home health care business owner? Aspiring means you are not licensed yet. You could even be a healthcare professional, but you're not licensed yet. And I'm specifically talking about you're a licensed agency. You're not a licensed agency. Some people say, "Oh, Sean, my business is registered," and I'm going to say, "Great, your business is registered, but if you're not licensed yet, then you fall underneath the aspiring category." Thank you so much. I see aspiring in the comments. Number 2, we have the emerging stage. Okay, emerging means you're licensed, you're operational. Maybe you have a few clients. You're emerging. You're an emerging home care business owner. And this is a new category, established home care agency. Established home care agency. With the established home care agency, you are kind of out of the newlywed stage, the honeymoon stage of your business, and you have some operational functions and you're looking to have an increased growth. Okay, you're licensed, but you can't get clients. We'll talk about that a little bit. Let me first go over this pre-licensing survey information. Okay, so for many home health care business owners, the pre-licensing survey is your final hurdle between you getting licensed. Thank you so much for following. I just kind of get on. I forget to ask you guys. Yes, please do share out the live. I'm giving this information for free because, like I said, this is the most tight-lipped industry. So if you've seen this topic on YouTube University, let me know. But as far as I know, they still aren't covering the essential topics, right? And then I have people that say, "Oh, why are you telling them all that?" Right? Because even if I tell you that, don't mean you still don't need help, right? But I'm going to break it down to you very quickly, easily for you to understand. All right. So for many aspiring home care business owners, you're in between. You submitted your application. You're not quite licensed. The pre-licensing survey, it's called a survey. I don't know why they call it a survey. It kind of feels like a an interview kind of. That's how it feels, like an interview. It's a final hurdle between you getting an official approval. It's a final hurdle thing, and it is also the step that causes so many people the most anxiety, the most fear, right? Because you kind of don't know what to expect. And this is why I'm trying to give you a good understanding. You don't know what to expect. And they may give you a list of items like a checklist, but you still don't know what to expect. All you know is that if you don't pass this phase, it's a possibility that you won't get licensed. And then you have these things hanging over your head, that it was a non-refundable application fee. You don't know if you can make an appeal, or you can make some corrections to any of the deficiencies of your survey, right? So first thing I want to let you know that if you are in a state and they do a pre-licensing survey, here is one thing, thank you so much, that you need to know. That I get this question. Remember, I said I was going through my notebooks, getting some questions. Guess what, guys? They will never come to your office, whether you have a home office or you have a commercial office. They will never come unannounced during the pre-licensing survey phase. If you're following me and you're taking notes, put that in the comments. They won't come unannounced. In the pre-licensing phase, they won't come unannounced. And now, by you putting that in the comments, that lets me know that you are following along. They won't come unannounced. They won't come unannounced. Okay. Cool. All right. Excellent. Okay. So you can take a whole woosah on that one, right? Because you heard that they can come unannounced, but you don't know if that includes the pre-licensing phase. And some of you have a home office, so you may feel like, well, am I going to have time to get my home office together? What are they looking for? We're going to cover that, right? And so, just so you know, it's not just a formality, right? Meaning, come, take a look, giving you a thumbs up. It um it can go as far as a deep compliance review, meaning they're really going to look at your policies and procedures. This is a stage where they really take a look at your policies and procedures. And you guys know I'm always telling you that they need to be state specific. What does that mean? If every regulated state has home care regulations. Remember, I showed you one in Virginia about the criminal background check. It said specifically that the criminal background check had to be obtained within 30 days of employment. So that's a very specific statement that they will be looking for in your policies and procedures. So when I say your pre-licensing survey, they're doing a deep dive. They're doing a deep dive into how compliant you are before they license you. They want to make sure that what they outline, you should have policies, procedures, insurance, personnel file. They want to make sure that you're following the rules up front. They want to see that up front. Okay. And I have mentored hundreds of home care and home health care agency owners. So myself started my first home healthcare agency was skilled. So going through a skilled survey is a lot different than just going through a unskilled survey. Why is that different, Sean? It's different because I had one person that was looking at my general administrative policies that may have to do with operations. And I had a whole nother person who was an RN that was looking at my clinical policies to see if they were appropriate for a skilled agency. So that's why I said they do a deep dive. Now, I'm not telling you that to be afraid. Remember, I'm telling you that sometimes you guys run to ChatGPT, and we love chatting. We love chatting, but if your policies and procedures are not referencing the key points or in the regulation and showing that you are will be in compliance, then you would kind of get some things, or they would ask you to make a correction. And if you're following me, then you have to, I want you to write, make a correction in the comments. Okay, so the deep compliance review is to verify that your agency is fully prepared to safely operate, manage staff, protect clients, and comply with all applicable regulations from day one. Okay, from day one. Okay, so that's why some states even ask you to see a personnel file. Now you may say, well, I haven't even hired anybody yet. They want to, if they ask to see a personnel file and you are in the pre-licensing phase, most of the time that is a template of what your personnel file would look like. Now you have to say, oh, but I was going to use the home care software. You guys, you got to now produce a physical personnel file for them to see. Okay, this is where we're going to put the CPR card. This is where we're going to put the employment application. This is where we're going to put the privacy or HIPAA consent. This is where we're going to put the they completed their training, right? Because even though you will and want to be efficient using software, they need to see how you're planning on setting that up. And they're not going to go with, oh, when I get started, I'm going to go with this software. They want to see how you're going to set your personnel file up, and different things. Like, did you guys know that the criminal background clearance, the actual report, not the consent, does not go in the personnel file? You got yours? Excellent. Where and what state? It doesn't go in the actual personnel file. Did you know that health information like that TB test or that PPD test doesn't go in the personnel file? Okay, great. For skilled or unskilled? Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't go in the personnel file. Excellent. Well, did you pass? So I'm going to use two states as a reference, even though I can speak on Georgia as well. I'm going to use Illinois and Virginia. So to even get ready uh, for your pre-licensing survey, guys, you have to inform the state that you're ready by submitting what's called a letter of readiness. Can you say letter of readiness in the comment? You have to say, so what happens is you submit your application and you submit the initial requirements. This is why I say some states have a part A and a part B. So if I say as a part A and a part A is usually your actual application, the initial requirements, and of course that fee. They want their money down, right? And they're like, I want to review these things first. And after we see that you have completed this much to our satisfaction, then we'll fall over to part B. And part B is usually where the licensing survey happens, and you have to submit a letter of readiness. what does the letter of readiness do? The letter of readiness is saying, I am ready. My policies is ready. Most importantly, I am ready to have my survey conducted. I am ready. That's essentially what the letter of readiness does. We have a template that we normally give people, like even with our DIY kit. Like if you were to get the Virginia DIY kit, we automatically give you a letter of readiness because we know for, like, say, for example, Virginia, Georgia, Illinois, that you're going to have to submit a letter of readiness. So the letter of readiness says, I'm ready, even for Texas, to have to receive my state survey, right? And that letter of readiness is now gets the clock ticking for you to have your survey conducted. For you to have your survey conducted, right? And remember, I said they will not show up unannounced. They won't. But guess what? If you tell them that you're ready and then you're not, meaning, oh, dang, I'm still working on my policies and procedures, because I've had people submit their letter of readiness and the state says, oh, okay, cool. Hey, so we don't, but our workload in this area is low. So we can come see you in 2 weeks. So does that work for you? 2 weeks. And I've had people rush to come get like my DIY kits because their policies and procedures weren't ready. And you have to have those ready because they are reviewing it. And I'm telling you guys, they are reviewing it line by line. And that's the most, you're like, they're going to read all of it? Yeah, they're going to read all of it.
What's this so many teeth?
Looks like it's food. You got to go brush your teeth. Okay. I'm doing my live, girlfriend.
Get it out.
Okay. Well, you can always brush your teeth to get something off of it. All right. So let me hurry up because I got to take them to somewhere. Okay. What are the surveyors looking for? And I'm going to answer your question. Is there a time frame to send it in for Texas? Okay, let me answer that really quick. Texas, I like Texas because Texas and Georgia kind of do this. Oh yeah, K Business's Office of Healthcare Quality and Maryland read everything. Absolutely. Texas and Georgia kind of similar with this. I'm gonna give you your license, and here's the thing: I prefer the survey where they want me to they want to review all my policies and procedures versus the survey that they give you and require that you have to get clients. I prefer that survey over the one with clients, because the one with clients is a lot more intense. And I'm not trying to scare you, but one of this one young lady that follows me on TikTok, she had a hard time passing her home health survey for Texas, because with Texas, they wanted, you have to have admitted clients. And they told her, hey, you applied as a skilled agency, home health, but you don't have no skilled clients. And she was like, oh, I have to have skilled clients too. Yeah, so you have to have, when you have that kind of survey, you have to have the level of clients for the level of service you're trying to get approved. So when she did not have a skilled client, they that really delayed her approval.
Not here.
I think they're playing. So, okay, what the surveyors are looking for during the pre-license survey. Policies and procedures is definitely number one. Put policies and procedures in the comments. Your policies and procedures manual. We're going to set it up as a manual. We're going to set it up as a manual. What do you mean as a manual, Sean? Usually I show my mentees a binder, and I don't see one right now. I'll buy the best two things to do is use an accordion file folder or binder. Do I have one I can show you? I guess no, because I think we sent all of ours off. So we're going to use a binder, or I think we sent our last one off. Okay, let me see. I'll just use this notebook as an example. Okay, so you have a binder, and let's say this is XYZ agency policies and procedures, right? XYZ agency policy procedures, right? So you want something that the state can easily go through, right? And you're going to put things in order to how they're going to review it. So, say for example, in the state of Virginia, because Maryland right now doesn't do an initial survey, they require a business plan. You're going to put your business plan in here. You're going to have a tab for your business plan. You're going to have a tab for your operating budget. You're going to have a tab for your certificate of insurance, COI. In fact, even if you are past the survey stage and you are licensed and you're in a state that did not do a pre-licensing survey, I want you to set up your binder like that, right? This is something we teach in the Home Care Kickstarter and the Next Step program. This is how you get survey ready. Now, this is initial survey ready as well as unannounced survey ready. All right. And so some of these things I was trained by a Medicare surveyor on how to make things easier for the surveyor. How to make things easier for the surveyor. So you want to be able to easily, let's say you're out of the office, let's say you're at a conference, let's say you're at a cruise. Where would your staff that you left in charge know where to find your policies and procedures? Boy, if you got an unannounced survey, that would be, yes, the binder is better than electronic. Great question. Okay, so on YouTube, it asks, binder is better than electronic. Okay. If you wanted to have your policies and procedures electronic, here's what happened. When the surveyor comes in, you would have to give him or her access to all of your policies and procedures. So if you don't have an extra desk, an extra computer, they now have to sit wherever your policies and procedures are. And if they're not organized properly on electronic, then they would have to go through each and every one. When they come to do an unannounced survey, they don't come with your policies and procedures that you submitted with your application. They come knowing that you're supposed to have it at your office. So really good question. But the best way, I know it may seem antiquated, put it in a binder, guys. Put it in a binder. Have it grab. And on YouTube, why would you want you? Let me ask a different question. What's your idea for having it electronic? Because most of us, our policies and procedures are like individual files, right? So that means they would have to go through each and every one of them. Each and every one of them. Each and every one of them. This is the easier place. And some surveyors have said they like the accordion file. So accordion files look like this, and they have little slots like that. During the pre-licensing survey, the thing it can take you longer if they can't find information. It can make the survey longer if they can't find information. And then if you're dealing with an impatient surveyor, they can just mark that you don't have it. So then it will be a deficiency. So you want to be able to have a quick access to the information that they're asking you for. Okay, so your policies and procedures need to be fully compliant. Your policies and procedures, this out of everything will be the most scrutinized. This out of everything will be the most read. They're looking, you know how like they say, like they have like some software for resumes that looks for key things. They're looking for key terms in your policies and procedures. Oh, did they pick up that was every 30 days? Did they pick up that this like that they have to keep client files for 7 years? Did they put that in their records management policy? They're going to be looking for that your policies align exactly with your state's home care or home health care regulations. That you have a clear description of how care is delivered. One of the things we go over in the home care and home health care Kickstarter program, and even in the next step, is that your scope of services can make or break, like if the state is approving, if they feel like you are operating within your scope. Meaning, are you operating as an unskilled? Even the because you have some skilled items up here. Clear descriptions of how care is going to be delivered. That's your patient care delivery process. How it's going to be supervised and how it's going to be documented. Okay. Policies for client rights, abuse prevention, incident reporting, and quality assurance. These are very standard policies for most states. Infection control, confidentiality, HIPAA compliance, and record retention are most common in most states. Procedures that reflect real world operations. Remember, I say, as much as we love ChatGPT, ChatGPT is going to give you a policy statement, not the procedure. The procedure is preheat the oven to 375. All right. It's going to tell you how much milk to put in that recipe, how much oil, what kind of oil, right? And you'll even have some states to say, don't copy and paste from the from our website or from the regulation. That does not make it a policy. Guess what? A surveyor may ask you to explain how a specific policy or procedure is going to be implemented. If they don't find, if that information is not clear in your policy, not just whether it exists. And that is definitely especially for an unannounced survey. If you can't confidently explain how your agency will carry out what's written, that could be seen as a red flag. Emergency preparedness plan. Emergency preparedness plans are big in a lot of states. Florida, right? Florida, that's a really big state. Every licensed home care agency needs to demonstrate readiness for emergencies, right? So Emergencies include things like your natural disasters, power outages, medical emergencies, staff shortages, evacuation and shelter in place procedures, coordination with local emergency resources. Does your policy and procedure include all of those things? Staff training curriculum. Every state has specific training, initial and ongoing, that needs to be documented in your policies and procedures. Needs to be shown how it's going to be implemented during the orientation process, and even how it's going to be documented on an annual basis. Next, the personnel requirements and administrative oversight. Some states have specific requirements for administrators, meaning some states can say, hey, you're not a nurse, you didn't have any previous healthcare experience, you can't be the administrator. We had that happen a couple of times in one state where the owner, even though she had taken care of her dad, had to be listed as the alternate administrator. The state gave us the kind advice that if she was listed as the alternate administrator for the first year, she can now show that she has experience underneath another administrator for being the administrator. So for the first year, the only way for her to get her policy, her license passed, is that she had to be the alternate administrator. Job descriptions. They'll be looking for job descriptions specifically for those who are going to be working in the field. Of course, we have your background checks and screening policies, your healthcare screening policies, and personnel files. Record keeping forms, and they want to sometimes they want to see your client intake and assessment forms. Sometimes they want to see your complaint report forms. A lot of states want to see your client contract, your service plan or care plan agreements, incident reporting forms, and again, that personnel file. Okay, and I'm gonna just make sure I covered. Okay, here is, I want to wrap up. So if you have any questions, we get to start posting them now. Here's how you can prepare for passing your pre-licensing survey on the first try, right? You want to, whether you're in a mentorship program, or you have a business partner, or you can use your nurse, you should conduct a mock survey. So one of the things, I did a training with my staff every year, and I did a mock survey. So I trained them on what to do, and then I conducted a mock survey. I also did mock surveys for some of my business colleagues. And essentially, a mock survey comes across as unannounced because you're unprepared. And I just walked in, grabbed some charts, evaluated some things according to regulations. So you can do a mock survey, but be a little bit at ease with the pre-licensing survey. Most of the states give a checklist of what they are looking for. You will have a checklist of what you're looking for, of what they're looking for. And so you have your policy, your license or policy procedure binder, but you need to also follow the checklist, because if there are 15 items on the checklist, that is their main agenda and priority, and they're going to be looking for it. And you want to tab some of those things so that it's easier for you to find them, and when they ask for it. Being prepared and being organized should relieve a lot of your anxiety, because if you are shuffling to find a document, that takes more time, and it's just not a good sign during a survey. Here is something you should do initially prior to getting a license, and then definitely prior to your survey, and on a regular basis. Review your regulations line by line. Review your state's home health care regulations line by line. You want to ensure that your policies and procedures are customized or state specific and compliant. Kind of similar to an interview. You want to be prepared if you are asked any questions by the surveyor. Now, let me tell you something. This is not a pop quiz. They're not, if you look at the answer, if you go and look at the answer in the regulation, it's not like you got to have things memorized. That's not the case. You don't have to have things memorized. You just have to know where your policy or procedure is, or have an understanding of the regulation. Because the regulation is your guide. It'll say, oh, well, you're supposed to have $1 million, a $1 million policy. Remember, organizing all of your documents, And I think that is the best way to be prepared. I'm coming up with a pre-licensing survey checklist. And because I got a question about repeat the emergency preparedness, on my checklist, I have, for the emergency preparedness section, written emergency preparedness and disaster plan. All right, your written emergency, and you're like, a written plan? Yes. So let's say you're in a state where it snows. What's your plan for being able to provide service to your clients during the snow? Or what if you live in a state where there are hurricanes or there are tornadoes? What's your plan to still carry out your the care that your client needs during this national disaster? How would you do emergency communication for your clients and your staff? What's your continuity of care plan during emergencies? Do you have an emergency contact list form or policy for, let's say, for example, if the client's family was out of town and you guys were now providing 24-hour care? The state doesn't usually ask for scenarios, but they will be looking for, oh, okay, they have a power outage policy. They have a policy for hurricane, and it will be really specific to that area. So they will be looking for that. Let me see. Any other things? Right. So I'm going to leave the rest for the checklist. But I think if this information was helpful, let me know in the comments. If this information was helpful. I feel like I did a really good brain dump today with one of the things that I get asked a lot. And hopefully I did not share it to make you feel more nervous or anxious. Remember, it's not a pop quiz. Your pre-licensing survey will always be announced. And then for some states, they'll even ask you, okay, well, we're thinking about coming on Friday. We'll give you a choice. You want Friday, Monday, or Tuesday, right? The best thing to do is after you submit your application and your letter of readiness is to start getting ready. Is to actually start getting ready for that survey. And other than your policies and procedures, you should have two fireproof file cabinets. The cheapest ones we have seen and recommend are at like Walmart. Why fireproof? Because should there be a fire, you have to make sure that you have a way to protect the client's information so it doesn't get burned, right? So that means a wooden cabinet, as cute as it might be, is not good for your home health care office. It also needs to have a key. And just in case you're thinking you would get, reason why I say two, because some people say, oh, Shauna, I'll just get that one that has 4 drawers. The reason why I say don't get that one is because the left hand can't know what the right hand is doing, right? So if your clinical files is drawers 1 and 2, and your personal files is drawers 3 and 4, you're technically out of compliance, because HR should not be able to accidentally go into a client's file, right? That's against HIPAA. And director of nursing, RN, can't accidentally go into an employee's file and accidentally see social security numbers or criminal background. So that's why we always say they have to be separate. Now you can stack them on top of each other if you need space, but don't go and get that one that has all 4 drawers. So if, just in case you was thinking about it, again, I address these things all the time in my phone calls. And that's the main reason why. It's because technically HR. Now, even if you are a one-woman show or a one-man show, you still have to think about things as you get bigger, and that is what will get approved. They have to be fireproof and they have to be locked. And the one we found on Walmart, it was like $70. So if you're starting to see some that's like $700, $2,000, keep looking. I'm gonna try to pin the link to the ones we normally recommend. I'll maybe pin it in the blog I'm gonna write, so that you guys can know. And Walmart should be giving me an affiliate code because I found it. I said, oh, this is ideal for people who don't want to spend a whole bunch of money. Now, lastly, if you have a home office, avoid, even if you have an extra room, avoid putting your home office in a living space. Meaning, if they have to go upstairs to go to that office and now they're in that living space, they prefer not to do that. They prefer to be in a basement or off the side of your kitchen. And I know it seems like an inconvenience because, like, off the side of my kitchen, it's open. Guess what? This is temporary. Just set up your office right now with the low overhead. Have your official workspace. Your official workspace looks like that desk, that computer, or laptop. You don't have to have a physical phone, and those 2 file cabinets. That could be considered an official workspace. And I think I have a video on my Savvy Business Chick YouTube channel that gives you a little bit more insight on that. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to jump off. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at mentor@savvybusinesschick.com. Tomorrow is the beginning of a whole new year, and in the home care and home health in the Millionaire Home Care Society, I'm dedicating myself this year to helping 50 home care business owners reach their first million in revenue. Now, if you haven't even gotten licensed yet, you need to look into our upcoming January 12th home health care Kickstarter program. We do offer in-house payment plans, so you have no excuse. Let 2026 be the year that you don't let other people's goals hold you back from fulfilling your own goal, because that happens. Other people's goals, you'll be trying to help them out, and you're being so kind. You're like, okay, I can wait. Yes, that email address is mentor, mentor at savvy, SAVVY, businesschick.com. So send me an email. Let me know what if you're interested in the home health care Kickstarter. Like I said, because of a lot of people had some financial challenges towards the end of the year, we're doing an in-house payment plan. That means no interest. In-house payment plan, sure. Why would I do that? And we're even doing that for the Next Step program, because when I first got started, guys, I worked 2 part-time jobs. Meanwhile, starting my first home care business. For which program? Mentor at savvybusinesschick.com. Send me an email at mentor@savvybusinesschick.com. I also have on my Savvy Business Chick YouTube channel the Q&A of what is included in my home care and home health care Kickstarter. Because I don't know which one you're asking a full price for, and I have to take my kids somewhere in the next 20 minutes. I will be jumping off now. Love you guys. And if you're not already following me, please click the follow or subscribe button. Bye.